The sky was quiet. Too quiet. A routine flight had just passed its halfway mark. Passengers relaxed. Crew moving calmly through the cabin. Everything operating exactly as expected. Until, in an instant, everything stopped making sense. If these kinds of vanishings leave you uneasy, but curious, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Because these skies hold more secrets than most are willing to admit. This was no night flight. No storm. No unusual turbulence. The aircraft was flying in perfect weather, daylight above the clouds, and monitored by not one, but 4 different radar stations. Everything was being recorded, tracked, analyzed. And then, it wasn't. The disappearance occurred without any sign of distress. No mayday. No malfunction. No deviation in altitude. The last communication with the pilot was described as routine, even cheerful. He gave a position update, confirmed weather conditions, and ended with the usual phrase, "We'll be in touch shortly." They never were. For minutes later, the aircraft vanished from radar. Not faded. Not flickered. Vanished. All 4 radar systems reported the same, a complete and instantaneous loss of signal, as if the plane had been erased from existence. No gradual descent. No break in speed. No fragmentation. Just gone. What made this disappearance different from others was the level of monitoring. The flight path was under constant observation due to nearby military airspace. There were recordings from multiple sources, civilian and government, that all agreed on one impossible thing: the plane ceased to exist at a specific point. No trace. No echo. No electromagnetic trail. And here's where it gets stranger. One radar technician, reviewing footage in real time, reported something wrong. Not with the plane. With the space around it. He described a blur on the screen, not like interference, but like something was folding the air around the aircraft. A distortion. A ripple that didn't move with wind or heat. It hovered. Then it collapsed. And the plane disappeared. He said the room fell silent when it happened. Everyone stared at the screens. Some thought it was a glitch. Others knew better. When the reports reached Central Command, an immediate lockdown was issued. All data was seized. All backups copied and classified. Investigators were ordered to stay silent. And the technician who made the report transferred. Then unreachable. Families were told the plane had likely suffered a catastrophic failure. That it had gone down in a hard-to-reach area. That recovery would take time. But days passed. Then weeks. Not a single piece of debris was found. Not a single signal. Not even the automatic emergency locator, which was designed to activate on impact. The search expanded. Ground teams, aerial sweeps, even satellite scans. All returned the same answer: nothing. The plane had vanished over land. And yet, nothing. How does a massive aircraft disappear in a region covered with cameras, satellites, towers, and sensors? One retired investigator who worked the case refused to speak for years. Until recently. In a rare interview, he said something that sent chills across the aviation world. "We weren't searching for a crash. We were searching for a door." But no one wanted to hear that. What did he mean by door? Some believe he was referring to a theory long suppressed in official circles, that certain regions of the Earth experience sudden atmospheric anomalies, temporary, invisible thresholds where matter can shift into another state, another space, another time. But others think it wasn't the Earth at all. That something external, non-human, intervened. If you've stayed with us this far, like this video and share your thoughts below. Could this disappearance be the result of technology we don't understand? Or of forces we weren't meant to witness? And hold tight, because in the second part, we'll uncover the one piece of leaked data that wasn't meant to survive, a radar snapshot showing something next to the plane, just before it vanished. The image was grainy, faint, almost like static caught mid-frame. But it showed something. A still taken from one of the military radar systems, not meant for public eyes, leaked by an anonymous source weeks after the investigation was closed. It captured the aircraft just seconds before it vanished. And right next to it, something else. Not another plane. Not a bird. Not a weather balloon. A shape. Unidentified. It hovered at an impossible angle, seemingly stationary while the aircraft moved at cruising speed. The object had no visible propulsion, no wings, no design that matched any known technology. It was just there. And then it wasn't. The official reports never mentioned this image. It was omitted from the press briefings. Left out of the final report. Buried under layers of national security relevance. But once the image surfaced, it ignited a firestorm online. Analysts, retired pilots, engineers, they all asked the same question: what was that? Some suggested a classified drone. Others believed it could be a reflection, a radar artifact. But those who had seen similar anomalies before were convinced otherwise. One aviation tech said it matched the profile of an object spotted by military pilots in multiple encounters over the past decade, objects that behave like sentient machines, appearing and disappearing without explanation. But what really shook the community wasn't the object itself, it was the reaction of those involved in the investigation. People went silent. Investigators who had once been open with families stopped answering calls. Some claimed they had been advised to say nothing further. Others were removed from the case entirely. And the radar technician who allegedly leaked the image disappeared from his post. No record of reassignment. Just gone. A journalist who tried to follow the trail said something chilling in her final blog post before going dark. They're not hiding what happened. They're hiding what was seen. Meanwhile, families of the passengers started noticing strange details in the aftermath. Credit cards still showing activity. Phones ringing once before going to voicemail. Social media accounts logging in, then going silent. It could have been glitches. Or it could have been something else. Something reaching out. Some even received calls with no audio. Just an open line. No static. No breathing. Nothing. A silent connection that lasted exactly 1 minute before cutting off. Always at 3:12 a.m. Always. A retired air traffic controller who reviewed the raw radar logs came forward in a closed forum. He said he'd seen patterns like this only twice before, both classified. Both involving aircraft that were never recovered. He ended his message with a question no one could answer. What if these planes aren't crashing? What if they're being taken? But taken by what? That's the question no one wants to answer. Because if something has the power to pull a commercial aircraft from the sky without leaving a trace, what else can it do? We're left with an unsettling reality, one that no amount of data, engineering, or logic can fully explain. A mystery without a crime scene. A vanishing without a reason. And all we have is a whisper. A snapshot. And the heavy silence of unanswered calls. If you're still with us, like this video and comment your thoughts below. Do you believe this disappearance was an accident? Or the result of something far more deliberate? Subscribe and ring the bell, because in part 3, we'll explore the pattern behind multiple aircraft that disappeared in this exact corridor, and how ancient maps may have predicted this phenomenon centuries ago. Long before the age of radar and satellites, this region was already feared. Sailors in the 1500s avoided it. Early explorers recorded strange compass readings, erratic winds, and sudden silences in the sky. In old navigation charts, some hidden in private collections, this area was marked with symbols of warning. Not for storms. Not for pirates. But for something else. One map, drawn by a forgotten monk cartographer in the 17th century, contains a phrase barely legible in the margins, where the air folds and time is thin. That phrase resurfaced in a modern scientific theory just decades ago. One that proposes that the Earth's electromagnetic field may ripple under rare atmospheric conditions, creating thin zones where normal physics breaks down. Moments where gravity shifts slightly. Time dilates. Matter behaves strangely. And those rare windows, often open in the exact regions where planes have vanished. Coincidence? Let's look closer. Over the last 50 years, this same corridor, where a vanished aircraft was last seen, has witnessed at least 12 other disappearances. Most were blamed on weather, despite clear skies. Others were labeled pilot error, though the pilots were veterans. Some simply never entered official records. But families remember. In 1987, a small passenger plane vanished 13 minutes after reporting a shimmer in the clouds. In 1994, a cargo jet carrying classified materials dropped off radar mid-transmission. In 2003, a flight en route to a nearby city never arrived, its final ping traced to the same area. No wreckage. No bodies. No answers. Some believe this pattern points to a natural anomaly. Others argue it's artificial, technology far more advanced than anything we publicly know. But then there's a third group, who thinks it's neither. They believe something is watching. Waiting. Testing. What if the sky itself is not always what it seems? What if there are places where layers of reality wear thin, where something beyond our perception watches from the other side. The plane we lost left behind no trace. But its absence speaks volumes. Not just in data, but in the stories that echo through the silence. A flight crew with no reason to panic, gone. A shape on radar, denied. An image, leaked, then buried. And a history, repeating. Is this just an unsolvable disappearance? Or a message? One we haven't yet learned to translate. If you've followed this mystery to its final frame, like this video and tell us, do you think we're witnessing natural forces, or something orchestrated? Something choosing when and where to appear? Subscribe and hit the notification bell, because we're not finished. In the next episode, we enter one of the most feared regions in aviation history. A place where multiple planes vanished in the same stretch of air, within minutes of each other. We'll take you into the heart of the Dragon Zone. And what we found changes everything.